Alright, I've been in a basketball type of mood lately. 2K24 just released and the NBA season is right around the corner at the time that I'm recording this video in the middle of October. So because of this, I wanted to take a look at the Space Jam movies. Also, I used to run a basketball channel before I got into TV and animation, and I'm still into the NBA, so this is a nice way to combine the two. I'll cover Space Jam first, recapping every scene and giving thoughts on them if there's anything to expand on. Then I'll cover Space Jam: A New Legacy after that. Then at the end, I'm saying which one is better. Yep, it's not going to be one of those weak sauce conclusions like with the Sonic and Mario movies. They're both good, why can't they both be good? No. None of that soft nonsense. Two movies can be good at the same time, sure, but in the end, one has to be better, and I'm going to say which one is better at the end of this video. Enough introduction, time to get in here. I'm ready. Alright, Space Jam starts off with the song I Believe I Can Fly by R. Kelly. Now recently, within the past few years, I've always heard about R. Kelly and his name being in controversy, but that was the extent of it. Whenever someone mentioned R. Kelly, it was always in some joking type of way, but they never really expanded on it, always beating around the bush, acting like everyone was supposed to know. Also, I never really had the time to look it up or become invested in it. It would be better to explain it on the spot instead of just saying R. Kelly and King. But since I heard his song in the movie and I'm talking about it right now, I just thought I might as well see what happened, and it's not nice. Definitely very M-rated, R-rated type of content for sure. Anyways, the movie is going to start out with a young Michael Jordan playing some basketball late at night and telling his dad all of his dreams, like going to UNC, winning a championship there, and playing in the NBA. Really everything that Jordan did. His dad wasn't really feeling anything that Jordan was saying until he brought up playing baseball, just like him. And this little scene ended with a Michael Jordan missed dunk because there's no way he even got a rim grazer. But anyways, that happened and the opening credits started, mixed with some actual Michael Jordan NBA highlights. This intro was about a guy that just wanted to play basketball, and despite his dad doubting him, he still had that drive and that work ethic to make it happen and carve out an NBA career and accomplish all of his goals, so that's amazing. It's not supposed to be deep at all, but it's so refreshing to see because in my life, I used to be around a bunch of nonchalant folks, whether it was a game or even in real life. It was a very, if I succeed, that's fine, but if I don't, that's also fine type of attitude. There's a bit of merit to that in a protecting wellness and self-esteem type of way, but I'm not wired like that at all. I'm going all out, chaos control, leaving no stones unturned to achieve my goals and dreams, and I like that this intro inspires that. Also, in the intro, the Space Jam theme song is rocking. It's not something that I would go out of my way to search, but whenever I hear it, it's always a good time. So yeah, the intro was solid. It set up the movie perfectly. So it's going to pick up near the start of the next season. In real life, this is supposed to be after the Chicago Bulls beat the Phoenix Suns for their third NBA championship. The moment that they're showing is Jordan's sudden retirement from basketball to go and play baseball, and it's supposed to explain why he's not a basketball player anymore. Nothing really relevant to expand on here, at least related to this movie, not gonna expand on other stuff, so yeah, it's just a retirement, that's it. So after this, the scene shifts to Moron Mountain, up in space, and this is where the juicy stuff happens. So these aliens and this owner, boss guy, which apparently the group of aliens are Nerdlugs and the boss man is Mr. Swackhammer, completely missed out on that stuff while taking notes, but boss man and minions or aliens are perfectly fine. So anyways, they were working at this amusement park, but it didn't have that much amusement to provide because their park management skills were hot dog water mixed with trash can juice. Their originality completely failed. They couldn't make it on their own and they needed a super team to save their careers. So when they were talking about getting some attractions for the park, the boss man sat on the TV remote and when the TV turned on, it showed a bunch of Looney Tunes episodes playing. Mighty convenient. Anyways, they all got enamored with all of the wacky shenanigans in the Looney Tunes, and that got all of their sights set on getting the Looney Tunes to Moron Mountain. I love when villains have backstories or reasons for being evil rather than them just being a generic bad guy, kind of like Mal from Total Drama All-Stars when he just showed up and started breaking random stuff just because he's evil on the Max side of the game from the very next season. Although they're literal cartoon characters, the alien guys having these real deal motives make them feel less cartoonish, more grounded, and more relatable. As relatable as aliens can be. These aliens are just trying to make it out of a tough situation. They're the underdogs. They're rootable, at least for right now. I don't like underdogs at all. Actually, in something like an NBA game, I'm rooting for the folks that dominated, that worked their tail off, worked harder than everyone else to put themselves in a position to dominate rather than a ramshackle sympathy underdog that flat out doesn't deserve it more than the other person that put in the work and dominated. Tangent aside, the aliens are underdogs here, and I've got to say that they aren't totally evil. They're just trying to save the park, which is pretty reasonable. Anyways, the scene is going to shift to Jordan's baseball career. They're going to show him being raw sewage at the game, but it doesn't matter because it's basically a Michael Jordan worship session as all of the players were excited to meet him. He even got a publicist named Stan that was supposed to protect him, basically an unofficial security guard. Crazy how, according to my research, Magic School Bus settings, but yeah, Stan became an actual term in that 2000s time when Stan here was the original Stan before the term was even coined. But to be fair to Stan, he's just really clingy and wants to perform his job to the best of his abilities. He's a far cry from NBA player Stans of today that don't get paid to ride like that. I'm assuming that Stan got paid for this gig. If he didn't, then that's messed up and it puts him more in line with the Stans of today. Nah, the Stains of today. Stans ruin all discussions and the thought of being one is embarrassing. Rather than fueling someone else's story, this is my only life, so I'm out here making my own legacy, making my folks proud. And yeah, that's just my take on Stans because of a guy named Stan in a Space Jam Looney Tunes movie. Anyways, the aliens went down to Looney Land, Toon World, whatever. They went there to capture the Looney Tunes for their amusement park. They ran into Bugs Bunny, and here's where one of my favorite scenes in the movie happens. So they're talking to Bugs, asking, "Where's Bugs Bunny?" And Bugs was leading them on, asking, "Does he have great long ears like this? Does he hop around like this? Does he say, 'What's up, Doc?' like this?" He's basically there saying, "Hey, I'm Bugs Bunny," then acting like he never heard of him, only for the aliens to blast him and say that they knew that he was Bugs the whole time and they demanded that he gather up all his friends. Bugs was acting so slick, treating these guys like morons just to get wrecked by some guys that are actually from Moron Mountain. I don't hate Bugs Bunny, it's just that every time I've seen him, he always has that Roadrunner type of plot armor and luck, especially when he's in a scene with Daffy. So to see him get absolutely grounded here was an unexpected surprise for me because I'm not watching every single Looney Tunes episode from ancient prehistoric times. I'll actually talk about the iteration that I watched the most later. So the next scene is about Jordan getting home from the baseball game and the news channel talking about his bad performance, to which Jordan changed the channel to the Looney Tunes so the kids wouldn't see him down bad. After that, Porky Pig, Roadrunner, and Wile E. Coyote left the scene for an upcoming union meeting. There's nothing really deep or interesting about this scene that can be expanded on. It was just supposed to set up how the kids knew about the Looney Tunes characters, which comes into play later. And yeah, it was just a nice way to transition into the union meeting. So at this meeting, the aliens told the Looney Tunes characters about their evil scheme to capture them, to which the aliens were met with laughter until they blasted Yosemite Sam with their blaster ray, whatever it was, and let them know that they're for real. Sam got absolutely fried there, but to be fair, he came at them crazy first with those revolvers. I guess that this was supposed to be hilarious, key, but not really. Yosemite Sam is boring as bricks, and I was never really a fan of his at all. Whenever I watched episodes or merry melodies centered around him, They were an instant snooze fest, so it was good that this little part was over with quickly. Get off my screen! But yeah, Bugs said that the aliens can't just capture them because that would be highly unfair. They have to give the Looney Tunes characters a chance to defend themselves, and he wrote it down as a rule in this fake handbook about how to capture cartoon characters, and the aliens surprisingly agreed to these terms and conditions. So right after making an immaculate play by sussing out that Bugs was lying to them, they immediately turned around and got grifted. Earlier, I tried to make an underdog case for them, but I can't save them if they don't want to be saved. J. Cole settings, man. Idiots. Anyways, the Looney Tunes characters decided that they were going to settle this with a basketball game because they're much taller than the aliens. This was really the only deciding factor, and it's going to show later. It seemed like it was going to be an easy dub because the aliens didn't even know what basketball was, so they all watched this little introduction video for casuals. But the Looney Tunes' biggest mistake was letting the aliens hear the part about the NBA featuring the best players in the world, because it's not going to turn out good for them. So long story short, the aliens went down to Earth and stole the powers or talents of some of the best NBA players at the time. The players that they stole from were Charles Barkley and Patrick Ewing, which were two amazing casting picks, bona fide Hall of Famers, nothing bad to say about them. But then after that, they got Sean Bradley and some Charlotte Hornets players, Muggsy Bogues and Larry Johnson. Definitely a step down from Pat and Chuck. But in the end, you got to work with what's available to you. And it's not like those were the only NBA players that were in this movie. There's plenty of cameos, so it's not that horrendous. It's just that I could only imagine, I could only dream if someone like Hakeem the Dream were in this, or even Scottie Pippen. But yeah, at least they got Pat and Chuck. So after this, Jordan's finding out about all of this stuff on the news, and the Lakers players refused to even go in the locker room because they thought that there were germs in there. I just realized that every movie before 2020 that has a disease type of thing or quarantine, something like that, for all of those movies, folks are going to be like, they saw the future. They predicted, well, the thing that happened in 2020. Hopefully that goes away in a few years. It's getting tired. So yeah. The scene shifts back to Looneyland, and it's going to get exposed that no one there really knows how to play ball. They all just agreed to play a basketball game because they're tall. Terrible IQ from the get-go. Just because you're tall, that doesn't mean that you're skilled at basketball. Doesn't even mean that you have an advantage. That's always a big misconception in real life, especially for those middle school, high school type of basketball squads where there's a tall guy at the school and everyone is confused about why he doesn't play. It's because he's garbage. He doesn't have training. It's a bad theory and a bad assumption. Anyways, going back to the Looney Tunes characters, they're not good at ball, but the one potential advantage that they probably could have had in height is going to get taken away from them when the aliens turn into the Monstars, forcing the Looney Tunes characters to look for some help. So that's exactly what's going to happen in the next scene. It's going to be Jordan, Larry Bird, Stan, and Bill Murray golfing. Not gonna lie, golf is boring. Good thing that this section didn't last for a long time, but because it was boring, this section felt like it was longer than it actually was. Definitely a slower paced section in this movie. So from underground, Bugs made Jordan's golf ball go down the hole to lure Jordan over there so Yosemite Sam could kidnap him and take him down to the Looney World. Because of this, Stan is going to spend a bunch of time looking for Jordan, and yeah, that's basically what his next few scenes are going to be about. Him just digging a hole and looking for Jordan. That's what Stan got relegated to for this middle portion of the movie. Not really a Stan fan at all, so this is a big W. I just don't like that overprotective style. Like, let him breathe. Alright, when Jordan got to Looneyland, everyone was excited to see him, and they told Jordan of their situation, to which Jordan said that he's a baseball player now, acting like he's under a contract where he can't play basketball, he can only play baseball. They brought Jordan to the gym, and the Monstars walked in and started making fun of Jordan by saying that he's a wussy man, saying that he's a chicken and washed up, so he took it personally. Game on. Add this in the Last Dance docuseries for things that he took personally. So after this, the scene is going to shift back to the real world, and it's going to show the effects of everyone not having their talents. It's going to show Charles just being bad at the game, man. Getting kicked off the court by some middle schoolers. This kid was like, be gone, be gone. Trying to sound so royal or something like that. Just say, get out of here. Just for that, get off my screen. Anyways, then it's going to show the others at the hospital getting some therapy or something, and Charles bargaining with the higher power. It's a whole thing, and I really like this scene, at least the first time around, this time. Alright, the next scene is going to be about Lola Bunny's introduction, which I have a decent amount to say about. It's going to show the chaos, the pandemonium that stemmed from all of the Looney Tunes trying to play ball but being horrendous and just having no hope at beating the Monstars until Lola Bunny walked in out of nowhere with some erotic music. Lola was there to try out for the team, but Bugs wasn't looking at her as much of a player. He was looking at her as more of a love interest. He challenged her to some one-on-one and called Lola a doll, to which she took personally and schooled Bugs. After this, she grabbed Bugs by the face, stroked her finger along his face, and told him not to call her doll, and she made Bugs hard. Literally, he got a stiffy. Of course, they didn't show it like that. That would be highly inappropriate. They just showed his whole body getting stiff, but I see what they did there. Alright, now it's time to talk about Lola. My introduction to the Looney Tunes was through 2011's The Looney Tunes Show. It was the sitcom style Looney Tunes iteration. I rewatched it a few years ago, and from what I can remember, everyone from the Looney Tunes show acted just about the same as how they acted in Space Jam, except for Lola. In the Looney Tunes show, she's not necessarily a full-on dumb blonde, but she has those moments. She could be a Lindsay from Total Drama at times. It's a mix between that and being a really energetic character. Also, she was a Bugs Bunny stalker, as shown in one of the Merry Melodies titled We Are in Love, actually one of my favorite songs from the show. But in Space Jam, she and the dynamics were just different. In Space Jam, Lola just leans into her womanly ways a lot more, and that gets everyone to start getting heart eyes over her, to which I just couldn't imagine that happening in the Looney Tunes show. Also, another thing about Lola, from watching the Looney Tunes show, I thought that she and Tina were always part of the Looney gang because it would only make sense for Bugs and Daffy to have their female counterparts. But it turns out that Lola actually had her first appearance in Space Jam, which I just couldn't believe. I like Lola in the Looney Tunes show, so it was amazing that such a good character came into existence because of this basketball movie. Alright, enough talking about Lola. Back to the movie. When she leaves, Jordan's gonna trip on the floor and tell the Looney Tunes that someone's gonna need to go to his house and get his basketball gear. So rather than just going there by himself, he's gonna give the mission to some folks that call Earth 3D Land, like they're playing Super Mario 3D Land. It would have made a lot more sense for Jordan to go because he knows the layout of his house, but also at the same time, it's a movie. They got to make it interesting. They got to have some crossover action, so I'm not mad. So they're going to send that iconic pairing up there, Bugs and Daffy, and now it's time for the stealth section. Splinter Cell settings, Hitman settings, Watchdog settings, and everything in between. At least for Bugs. Bugs was like Sam Fisher out there. He actually got into the house undetected. On the other hand, Daffy was like one of those low-end crew members in GTA 5 Heist that always end up flaming out, as Daffy found himself in a house to his credit, but it was the doghouse, so that didn't end well for him. So once they both got in the actual house, they started roaming the halls, opening up doors, and they even woke up Jordan's daughter. They ended up getting the shoes, but when they tried to get the shorts, the dog busted the door down, holding the shorts. Bugs and Daffy really looked like goners until Jordan's kids saved the day. Now, as an honest stealth fan, I have to rate this scene. They were both bad, but Daffy was horrible, and Bugs probably would have been better off without him. After they woke up the kid, the stealth kind of ended. Folks already knew that they were in the house. This is definitely nothing like the ending of Monsters University because that's a masterclass. High stakes, high pressure, nothing beats that. But I could tell that they weren't going for something that serious, especially with the Looney Tunes. So yeah, this stealth section is a nice change of pace, change of tone, and it was solid. This movie has had a bit of everything so far. Skipping over the filler, the next important scene is about Stan. He's been digging for hours and hours, trying to find Jordan, but after he saw Bugs and Daffy go down the hole, he went down there as well, ending up in Toon World. So now the super team is assembled. But Jordan disagreed. Actually, he wasn't that excited to see Stan and relegated him to the cheer unit with the grandma. So after some real world filler about canceling NBA games, it's finally the night of the big game, and this story has already been told millions of times, so I'm not going to go into detail. The Toon Squad and the Monstars faced off, and the Toon Squad won, saving themselves and Jordan from being workhorses, and they got all of the NBA players' talents back. I sped through the basketball section because there's not a whole lot to expand on, which I like. There's nothing controversial or something that's hard to wrap my brain around. It's just a fun and unserious basketball game. Best part of the movie, actually. That's all I have to say about Space Jam for now. I'll wrap up at the end when I'm done talking about Space Jam: A New Legacy, making it easier to compare and contrast. Now, what was going to happen here was I was going to have a little intermission segment where I was going to talk about Teen Titans Go See Space Jam for some downtime before I got into Space Jam: A New Legacy. I wanted to include it here because when I cover shows, I usually like to cover every single episode, and I just didn't want to sit through almost 400 episodes of Teen Titans Go just to cover this episode. So I decided that the Space Jam special for Teen Titans Go was going to be in the Space Jam video, but I had no idea what I was signing up for at all. The thing about Teen Titans Go See Space Jam is that there's nothing to cover. It's just completely useless. I thought that the Teen Titans would use their superpowers to play basketball or go inside the movie or something like that, but no. For the most part, it was just the Nerdlucks and the Teen Titans watching Space Jam and making jokes, comments, and giving critiques on it. Like Raven said that Moron Mountain was named after Robin, and Beast Boy had this little butt counter for how many times they showed someone's buns in the movie. Wow, so hilarious for a 5-year-old, which is probably what this was made for. When I caught on to them just showing Space Jam and adding some commentary, I thought that I really missed out on an opportunity to just watch this instead of watching Space Jam and TTG Go See Space Jam separately. But there's actually some missing scenes. They censored some stuff like Yosemite Sam's revolvers, and most of the music from that iconic soundtrack got replaced, which is understandable. But it's a Walmart brand flea market version of Space Jam, and I feel bad for folks that had this version as their first experience with Space Jam. I guess since A New Legacy released a few weeks after this, then this was supposed to be a hype up, but it failed because the Teen Titans added nothing and the original solos badly. This probably could have been something if it were an original adventure, but that's not the case. Alright, now it's time to talk about something that's more original than this. Space Jam: A New Legacy time. Alright, this movie is going to start off with LeBron's origin story. Batman Arkham origin settings, Rayman origin settings. Speaking of video games, those were actually a big part of LeBron's origin story in this movie. So this is in 1998, before St. Vincent, St. Mary, before LeBron became global. One day before a youth league basketball game, LeBron's friend Malik gave him a hand-me-down Game Boy because he got the Game Boy Color. So before the game, LeBron was playing this Looney Tunes meets Mario Bros style of game, only because the brick blocks looked familiar. That's the only thing they really had in common. The Game Boy was before my time, so I have no idea if this game was real or not. Don't really care that much either because the game looked boring as bricks. It's just walking around with Bugs Bunny collecting carrots. Alright, so while LeBron was playing the game, the coach got mad at LeBron and told him to get on the court. I just gotta say, the way that LeBron reacted, like, come on. He was like, oh snap. If someone got caught like that, they're not actually saying, oh snap. They're gasping like, it's only one line, but it just felt so unnatural. Not even gonna blame the actor on this. That's all script writing. Okay, so the game's gonna go down to the wire. 17 seconds left in a 55-54 ball game. Coach calls an ISO for LeBron. He rises up and he clinks it. The bad guys win. So after the game, LeBron and his coach had this talk saying that he was disappointed because LeBron didn't give it his all because he wasn't focused, all because of those gadgets and gizmos. Then coach had this little speech about how LeBron's the best player he's ever coached and he can use basketball to change his life if he gets his head in the game. High School Musical settings. So LeBron ditched the Game Boy and never looked back, and they showed the intro, which was a highlight reel montage of LeBron's Hall of Fame career. Alright, so the origin story this time around had a little bit more depth and a slightly different tone than the one in Space Jam. It wasn't just a blanket follow your dreams like in the original. This time around, it was put down the gadgets so you can make it out and change life for you and your family. And LeBron's mother having to miss this game because of work just made it hit even deeper. The intro was a little more targeted. It felt more specific, but in the end, it worked because it feels more real and relatable than what came before it, and it's just an overall well-crafted scene. Now, for the highlight montage. I was so hyped when I saw the 2020 championship there and didn't think that it was going to make its way in there because this was mostly a pre-2020 production. 2020 was such a tough year because of worldwide issues. School got canceled, so I missed out on my senior year graduation, and going outside was discouraged, so that took away the little social life that I had. One of the only things that kept me sane in 2020 was NBA basketball. Also, although I've been watching the NBA since 2013, I was too young to understand what was going on, and in 2016, I didn't watch the finals because 2016 YouTube drama went crazy. Hey, 2016 in general went crazy. So yeah, this was really my first time seeing LeBron win, and it was so hype. It was just amazing to see something that gave me joy and seeing something that I watched in real time being in this big time movie, so big dubs for having it in the intro. Other than that, they had typical LeBron stuff showing his basketball journey, so that was nice to see. I wasn't really feeling the song that they used, See Me Fly. It didn't really add any aura or any hype to the intro. The Space Jam theme song was some legit hype up music. That's something to play in the locker room before the game, while See Me Fly was some nice chill music to listen to before bed. But the highlight reel itself and all of the effects that they tacked on were so heat. Overall, this intro was amazing, especially the highlights. So after this, they're going to show LeBron's sons, Darius and Dom, at the basketball court. Darius is all in on basketball, while Dom is more of a game developer first, basketball player second. This showed when he smoked an open circuit shot layup against Darius, just trying to have some fun. Rule number 1 in the James household is that on the court, it's all work and no play. Big Nate settings. And LeBron came out of nowhere and let Dom have it, getting mad at the lollygagging and getting mad at him for playing with the gadgets because he wants Dom to be ready for basketball camp. LeBron sounds very familiar here, like his old coach from the 90s, and now he's forcing that same mindset onto his kids. Here's the thing, Darius is all for it, all in on the basketball, so that's alright. But Dom wasn't 100% in, and Dom just wanting his interest to be accepted and respected is going to be a big storyline throughout this movie. Actually, the next scene is about Kamaya having this talk with LeBron, basically saying that he should lay off the basketball talk and actually connect with Dom beyond basketball, so she gets it. The next scene looks inside the serververse where this guy named Algae Rhythm was actually trapped in the serververse and plotting about how he's going to try and use LeBron's fame to help him make a name for himself and his technology, Warner 3000. So this scene is an introduction to the real villain of the movie before he became evil. Yep, no way they're gonna let LeBron be the main villain of this movie. That would be such a controversial choice if they made an NBA player a villain in one of these movies because they're supposed to be looked at as these heroes unless they're someone like Dylan Brooks. Anyways, when comparing Algae Rhythm to the Nerdlux, it's the same feeling. Like I've said, I've outgrown those shows and movies where they have a villain that's evil just because. Now, I want a reason and maybe I can connect with the character if it's a good enough reason. The Nerdlux wanted to save their failing business and went about it in an evil way. And Algae Rhythm rightfully wanted to get the respect that he deserved, but he also went about it in an evil way, which was shown later in the movie, so they're not so different at all. Rag settings. That movie was a classic. What I'm saying is, this is at least a good setup. Algae Rhythm has an interesting premise. Now it just comes down to how they utilize it, which will come into play later. So after this, there's going to be this scene about LeBron playing Dom's game, trying to bond with him, but it was clear to me that, like I said, he was trying to bond with him, attempting to bond with him on a game level. LeBron seemed pretty confused with all of that tech and game features and seemed kind of frustrated that Dom's game wasn't real basketball. He probably would have never played the game if Kamaya didn't have that talk with him. Just saying that this interaction isn't as genuine, and it makes sense for this part of the story. Alright, so the two most important things that happen here are that LeBron is going to break Dom's game with this in and out crossover step back move like Kyrie Irving. This little maneuver is going to be so important later on. Also, after they were done playing the game, LeBron told Dom that they're going to a Warner Bros meeting, so that's going to set up the next scene. On the next day, LeBron and Dom went to Warner Brothers Studios and listened to Algae Rhythm try to sell them on Warner 3000, which was this technology that would scan LeBron into a bunch of Warner Brothers properties like Batman, Game of Thrones, and Harry Potter. Those were the ones that were shown. This was shut down and trashed by LeBron and all of the executives that were trying to sell him on this. Everyone was just going in on this nonsense, except for Dom actually, which got Algae Rhythm's attention. It put Dom in his good graces and made LeBron a villain to him, which started Algae Rhythm's villain arc. Nothing to really add here, just saying what happened. After some back and forth about Dom wanting to go to game design camp, telling LeBron that he made him hate basketball, and LeBron trying to force his basketball lifestyle onto Dom, after that, their elevator actually arrived at the server room and they got zapped into the serververse where they got to meet Algae Rhythm. But the warm welcome didn't last for long when Algae Rhythm captured Dom and said that LeBron is going to have to play a basketball game against him. The stakes are simple. LeBron wins, he gets his son back and they get out of there. But if LeBron loses, then he gets trapped in the serververse forever. Algae Rhythm gets the clout that he's looking for either way, but I have to question him. Why basketball? Even if you're planning on assembling this God Squad, you still gave LeBron something that's in his wheelhouse. And LeBron can assemble his own God Squad, so this just wasn't a good idea because if Algae Rhythm loses, then everyone's going to see it. That's what he's going to be known for rather than all of his hard work. Should have picked something like synchronized swimming or something. And I just gotta say, the way that the basketball game came to be, the reason why they're playing basketball made way more sense in Space Jam than it did in A New Legacy. So after this conversation, Algae Rhythm sent LeBron flying through. I'ma just be honest here. It's a Warner Brothers reference fest. Not even saying that it's a bad thing, but it is what it is. Actually, speaking of a reference fest, I'm actually going to halt this section to talk about this take that I heard. One day when I was web surfing, I can't find the exact post right now, but it said something along the lines of, the Mario movie is just like Space Jam: A New Legacy with all of its references, but none of y'all care because this time it's with something that you like. This was in response to the criticisms about Space Jam: A New Legacy being an HBO Max ad with a bunch of references, while the Mario movie was like 85% references and set pieces and had a bare bones story. Nothing to really expand on here. I'm just saying that I agree with them. A New Legacy wasn't the only movie that went deep into that reference bag. Like, if that's going to be a criticism, it's got to be spread out fairly, so I agree. So yeah, getting back to Space Jam: A New Legacy, Algae Rhythm sent LeBron flying through server space just to end up in Toon World. LeBron was the only person even there until Bugs Bunny showed up and started messing with him with all of these looney antics just because. It was just like in Space Jam when Jordan arrived in Toon World and the Looney Tunes started messing with him for no reason other than to show that they're loony, they're cartoon characters. This was a pretty fun segment, especially since LeBron became a Toon as well, something that was different from the original for the better. So that happened, but eventually Bugs chilled out and told LeBron why he was all alone. It was because Algae Rhythm convinced everyone to leave and go to all these other different universes, which is crazy. They may joke around and prank each other all the time, but I always looked at this group as a family. But they need a conflict for this movie, so there's that. So LeBron told Bugs his goal of assembling a team and they were off, but with very different mindsets. LeBron wanted to go for the big fish like Superman and King Kong, an automatic super team, Kevin Durant Warrior settings, just focused on domination, while Bugs was more focused on getting the Looney gang back, getting his family back. Actually, I believe that the theme or the overarching narrative of this movie was brought up again in a subtle way. It was while Bugs was talking about why he likes Toon World so much, but LeBron just cut him off when he saw Harry Potter World, just showing even more that he's self-centered. They tried to turn it into a joke, so that's why I say that I believe that they tried to tie it into the theme, subtly. It could just be a bunch of nothing, but I wanted to note that. So next, they went to all of these different universes to round up the Looney gang. The best one was when it was Lola's turn. LeBron told Bugs that he's got to get him one good player, so that's how Lola got into the picture. In the first movie, Lola was the second best player on the team, so I like that callback, that continuity. This actually isn't the first time that they referenced the original Space Jam. Bugs said that this stuff seemed kind of familiar when LeBron recruited him for the team on some Johnny Test. I'm telling ya, I've seen this before type of stuff. Whenever they had a parody episode of Johnny Test, he would always say that. Anyways, I like the nod to what came before. Alright, so when they got there, they met Lola as an Amazon, or at least she was training to be one. Bugs tried to get her to stop the trial to listen to him, but she was beast moding through it until she heard that LeBron needed to save his son, so she bailed on the trial to save LeBron and Bugs from falling into lava. At every turn, they're trying to push this family narrative. Family is important. Gotta be there for your family. It's not a negative. It's just something that I noticed that I'm going to talk about more at the end of this movie. Alright, so Lola failed the trial, but Wonder Woman let her pass because she saved Bugs and LeBron, and that showed her character. Then she was released to play basketball. Like I said, in this forming the team section, this was the best part. Alright. This is where I talk about Lola in this movie, just like I had a section to talk about her in the last movie. First off, big dubs for getting Zendaya to voice her. I'm not a Spider-Man fan at all. I hear that she's in those movies, but I don't watch them. But I watched her in Shake It Up, Frenemies, Zapped, and when I was writing the script, I almost let Casey Undercover slide by and go unmentioned. That was such a good show. But yeah, it's basically all of the Disney Channel stuff and Euphoria that I've seen her in. She's a great actor and a great voice actor in this. Also, I've got to say, unlike in the original Space Jam, it's just amazing to see folks that I grew up watching in this movie. So yeah, that's what I gotta say about Zendaya. But for Lola as a character, there's not really much to say about her. She was significantly toned down from her Space Jam and even the Looney Tunes show appearances. In those iterations, she at least had a standout personality, for better or for worse. Not really for worse, because both of those appearances were solid. She was unique in the Looney Tunes show and the standout in Space Jam, both basketball wise and character wise. Like, she just had so much aura. But in A New Legacy, she's pretty normal. But despite not being over the top, this version is still fine. Like, there's nothing really wrong with Lola in this. And that's where this Lola conversation ends, because that's really all there is to say about her in this movie. And I don't have to talk about any other character changes because they're pretty much the same. Alright, so while LeBron was assembling his squad, Algae Rhythm was trying to paint LeBron as this big villain, like he was Miami Heat LeBron. Algae Rhythm actually used LeBron's free agent history to get Dom to not be shocked that LeBron left him, and I've got to say, that's a good one. And yeah, Algae Rhythm was just being there for Dom, appreciating his game, which was all Dom ever wanted from LeBron. Nothing to expand on here, it's just a nice and straightforward scene. So after this, Algae Rhythm charged Dom up and made him like a 99, 100 overall type of player for the basketball game, and he turned his teammates into these goon squad monsters. Now it's time to break down the NBA or basketball player cast for this movie. Headlining this, there's Anthony Davis, Damian Lillard, and Klay Thompson. 3 real deal big time names in the NBA, so that's a dub. Nothing negative to say about them, like their names just speak for themselves. Then for the WNBA players, they have Diana Taurasi and Nneka Ogwumike. I hear about these WNBA players just from being in basketball spaces, but also I'm not going to sit here and act like I watched that league, so I wasn't as hyped to see them, so there's that. But they really hit on the big 3, so the basketball player cast overall is a dub, and this lineup is better than Space Jam's lineup. Next is the training scene where LeBron finds out that with the exception of Lola, he's got a bunch of bum diesels on his team, like his first run in Cleveland. And the Looney Tunes justified this by saying that it's fun, kind of like how Dom tried to justify his video game, so it's all adding up. So when they finally got back to Toon World for some practice, LeBron just snapped at all of these loony antics and said, my way or the highway. Now, this is the one time where they're painting LeBron as the bad guy here, but I actually agree with him. Bro didn't even get to pick his own squad. That was actually Bugs trying his best Legium impression. The Looney Tunes don't have to conform, but I don't know why Bugs is mad here. LeBron's son and his future is on the line, and you got him a trash team to play with. You prioritized your family over LeBron, so I understand LeBron here. Anyways, right after this, it's time for the big game. Now, I really wish that I could skip over the game like I did for Space Jam, but I can't. Space Jam's basketball game wasn't that deep, and it was over relatively quickly. A New Legacy's basketball game takes up almost half of the movie. It starts off with Algae Rhythm turning the Looney Tunes into 3D models. My take on the 3D models is that they're not horrible. The only one that looks ugly is Gossamer. But these 3D models aren't a positive, like they don't make the movie better. Actually, I like the 2D models a bit more. So although these 3D models aren't a deal breaker, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and there was nothing wrong with the 2D models. After this, the next 8 or 9 minutes were about filling up the arena with Warner Brothers characters, and they got TNT Ernie and LeBron's family there. I didn't talk about LeBron's family in all of this because ever since he was gone, their whole plot was about finding him, kind of like Stan from the first movie. Even in the game, they're really just non-factors story-wise. All they really provide is potential emotional support from being there. That's it. This movie isn't about them, so it's understandable, and that's why I could never really talk about their plot because they don't really matter that much. So they spent like 8 minutes filling up the arena, going through the stakes where the Looney Tunes learn that they'll be deleted forever if they lose. There were also introductions, like it takes such a long time to get to the actual basketball game. Not because this stuff is filler, it's just padded and drawn out so much. Get to the point. Now the game itself had the same sort of structure as the first one in Space Jam. Toon Squad gets whipped in the first half, at halftime they get inspired, and in the second half they win. But this time, there's a lot more content packaged into this basketball game. Some of it's for the better, some of it's for the worse. The good thing was when this movie finally reached what it was building up to, when the Looney Tunes said that they were trying to be like LeBron, but they're flat out not him. And that right there unlocked everything for LeBron. He not only used it to become a better coach, a better teammate, he also used it to become a better father. And all of this was shown after halftime when he allowed the Looney Tunes to be loony, which led to a lot of success in the basketball game. LeBron learning this lesson and allowing the Looney Tunes to be them and apologizing to Dom for not letting him be Dom, in conjunction with Algae Rhythm's mask falling off, sounding a lot like the coach in the beginning, a lot like LeBron for most of this movie. All of that inspired Dom to get on the good side. So I liked how well crafted this arc was. It's good. Now for the bad. As good as it looks, this basketball game is just way too long. This whole entire basketball game isn't bad. Actually, the only moment that I consider to be atrocious was that little rapping segment that happened here in the Looney Tunes comeback run where they interrupted the game so Notorious P.I.G. could spit some super hot fire, like his name was Super Hot Fire. I never really listened to Notorious B.I.G. way before my time, so I'm not cringing at the nickname, but this rap didn't really add any entertainment for me, and I kind of wish that this would have been cut out. Not for more game time, because I already said that the game is way too long, but I just wish that they would have cut some stuff out to shorten the movie. Now, I'm just going to recap the ending of this movie quickly so I can get to the good stuff and the verdict. Alright, so Algae Rhythm joined the game and the Goon Squad started dominating again until Dom realized that the only way to beat Algae Rhythm is to crash the game with that step back move from the beginning of the movie, which would delete anyone that used the move, send them to the Shadow Realm. So right when LeBron was about to make the move, Bugs intercepted the ball from LeBron, did the move, and perished. This allowed for an opening for LeBron to score the game winner. This stuff was so emotional, like I never thought that I'd be tearing up over a Looney Tunes character. But Bugs was the face of the Looney Tunes and the glue that held them all together. When they got back to the real world, LeBron surprised Dom with the game design camp, and Bugs revealed that he's still alive because he's a cartoon character. And that's the end. I just love the ending of this movie and really the whole entire theme of this movie. Be you. For my whole life, I wasn't allowed to be me. Actually, it seemed like being me was discouraged. You like basketball? Well, we're gonna take that away. You can't play it anymore. My playing days started and ended in the 5th grade. For another example, this profession doesn't pay that much. Pick something better so you won't have to live with your brother for the rest of your life. Even though I love journalism, it feels so natural to me. I even participated in Boy Scouts and became an Eagle Scout. Not for me, not for my satisfaction, but for someone else. And relating this to the movie, this stuff was being forced onto me by someone that was a former scout. I like how this movie emphasizes how everyone isn't going to have the same likes and dislikes. Everyone isn't meant to follow in their parents' footsteps. Just because one walk of life was successful for them, that doesn't necessarily mean that it'll be successful or even enjoyable for their child. Like, yeah, sure, having an NBA career might be associated with having a more aesthetically pleasing lifestyle from an outside perspective, but what good is it if you aren't even in it for yourself? You're just in it to make someone else proud. You're only getting one life, so just be yourself, and I love that Space Jam: A New Legacy makes that a big deal. Now that I've said everything that I had to say about these movies, it's time to pick which one is better. It's Space Jam: A New Legacy, all the way. ATW. Now, I didn't really like the soundtrack of A New Legacy that much, so that goes to Space Jam. The best song from A New Legacy was About That Time, but aside from that, the soundtrack was kind of bland and forgettable. It just didn't have songs as iconic as the Space Jam theme song, Fly Like an Eagle, and although they had Pump Up the Jam, Space Jam already got there first and had a better scene to go with it. So music goes to Space Jam, but that's about it. A New Legacy's earlier portion was better, with LeBron going to all of these different worlds to create a super team. And the game, while not being as simple and as unserious as Space Jam's, the game just looks so much better. Like, evolution happens. Things get better over time. Like, even outside of Space Jam, I'm not going to look at a sequel that's making strides to be better than what came before, then just ignoring that and saying that the original was better because it was the first, and without the original, there wouldn't be a sequel. No, that just completely discredits evolution. Evolution happens, and this movie just looks better than the original, which is a good thing for Space Jam: A New Legacy and for the world in general. Like, I'd be concerned if movies from today looked like 1990s productions, so A New Legacy takes this section. I also touched on this earlier with Zendaya, LeBron, AD, Dame, and Clay. These are the stars of my time that I grew up watching, so I'm definitely taking them. Also, shoutouts to Don Cheadle. Never heard of him before this movie, but he put on the performance of a lifetime, like Clayface in Batman Arkham City. Lastly, A New Legacy was able to tell a better story. Space Jam was a Looney Tunes movie that was focused on them playing a basketball game to avoid being slaves, and yeah, that's about as deep as it gets. It's simple, fun, and easy to digest. A New Legacy was a LeBron movie about LeBron learning to accept his son. This movie was about being yourself, which I already explained how that's such an important lesson. It has that and the Looney Tunes to go along with it, and they're not just there for no reason. They were a vital part of the story in getting LeBron to become a better father. This story just has more depth and meaning than the story in Space Jam. So in the end, Space Jam: A New Legacy is the better movie, and I'm glad that I got to make a positive video on A New Legacy. I remember at launch, the movie got ripped to shreds. Now, some of it was actually funny because in 2020, the Lakers went to Disney World, they competed in the Goofy Games, and they won the Magic Kingdom Cup. Then the next year, LeBron is in a movie with the Looney Tunes, so that was fun. And I got a good laugh when Skip Bayless called this movie Space Jam: A Stained Legacy. W troll. But at a certain point, I really didn't like what I was seeing back then. Like every time on my recommended page, I'd see a video along the lines of Space Jam: A New Legacy is trash, here's why, and it would be the same copy and paste narrative that I heard from the last video. If they actually believe that stuff, then that's perfectly fine, as no movie is perfect, and I actually called out a few similar problems that I had with the movie. But with the amount of videos that I saw, I really just thought that it was for popularity, wanting to fit in with the crowd and money, so there's that. I also know that LeBron's political beliefs factored into some of the hate that this movie got, which for me isn't even a factor when it comes to evaluating content. I hate when politics enter the conversation in anything. I also know that the GOAT debate factored into the hate that this movie got, which is absurd. It's a movie. This isn't deciding anything about on-court basketball play. Actually, for me, I don't even rank players that I wasn't even there to see, so this isn't personal for me. It's just about the movie. So just comparing the movies, Space Jam: A New Legacy is better than the original. So yeah, that's about it.